All right, today we're tackling something that, let's be honest, you've probably skipped over a dozen times. That long list of names at the very beginning of Matthew's Gospel. I mean, it just seems like a massive genealogy, right? But what if I told you it's not just a list? What if it's actually one of the most clever and important introductions ever written? I mean, seriously, picture it. You open up this brand new story, all excited, and the first thing you get is so-and-so was the father of so-and-so, who was the father of... Yeah, your first instinct is to just flip ahead to where the real action starts, right? It feels so strange, maybe even kind of boring, as a way to kick off a story. But that's exactly the puzzle we're going to dig into. Because you see, what if it's not just a list? What if it's more like a code? A carefully crafted message designed to tell its first readers something huge. The author, Mathew, he's not wasting any time. He is communicating something absolutely vital before the main story even kicks off. It's like he's packing the entire theme of his book right into this one opening chapter. So, if we're going to crack this code, the first thing we have to look at is the structure. And trust me, it is anything but random. In fact, there's this secret royal pattern just hiding there in plain sight. And believe it or not, this whole pattern, this whole secret, it all revolves around one specific number: 14. Yep, that number, that's the key that unlocks the entire design. And what's wild is that Mathew himself points this out for us. He deliberately splits Israel's entire history into 3 perfectly symmetrical groups of 14 generations. So group 1, you've got 14 generations from Abraham, the father of the nation, all the way to its greatest king, David. Then group 2, another 14, covering the rise and fall of the kings, which ends in the nation's biggest disaster, the exile. And then the final 14 generations lead right from that total low point to the birth of Jesus. Now, this is no accident. Come on. To get these numbers to be so perfect, Mathew actually had to be selective. He even left some names out of the list. For his original audience, seeing this perfect 3x14 structure would have been like a giant flashing sign. They'd know, this isn't just some random family tree. No, this is architecture. It's a signal that all of history has a purpose, a design. And that design is about to hit its grand finale. Okay, so if that numerical pattern was the first big clue, the second one is honestly even more shocking. Hidden inside this long list of fathers and sons are 4 names you would never expect to see there. Yeah, Mathew just completely shatters tradition by including 4 women from the Old Testament: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba. And get this, with Bathsheba, he even goes out of his way to highlight the scandal. He doesn't call her by her own name, he calls her the wife of Uriah, basically pointing a finger right at the messy history there. And you have to understand just how radical this was for the time. I mean, a normal, respectable genealogy back then, it was strictly men only. Its whole purpose was to show off a pure, perfect bloodline. You would absolutely hide any family scandals. But Mathew? He does the complete opposite. He throws women in there, and not just any women. 2 of them, Rahab and Ruth, weren't even Israelites. He doesn't just include scandal, he puts a giant spotlight right on it. So this just begs the question, why? Why these 4 women specifically? All of them have these really complicated, controversial stories attached to them. Stories of being outsiders, even sexual scandal. Why on earth would you put them in the official family tree of the person you're about to claim is the promised king? What is Mathew trying to tell us here? Well, here's where it all comes together. The answer is that every single choice he made, that number 14, putting those specific women in, highlighting the scandal, all of it serves one single primary purpose. This list, it's a claim to a throne. See, we have to adjust how we think about a genealogy. For us, it's kind of like a hobby, right? Tracing your ancestors. But in this context, especially a royal one, it was so much more. It was a legal document. It was your credentials. It was the public legal argument for why you had the right to rule. And that's exactly what Mathew is doing. He is drawing a direct, bold line. He connects Jesus all the way back to Abraham, the guy who received God's original promise for a nation. And then, even more importantly, he connects him to King David, the one who was promised a descendant whose kingdom would last forever. The entire list is basically designed to shout from the rooftops, the promise is here, it's being fulfilled. So there it is.
This is Matthew's opening statement to the jury. Before he tells a single story, before a single miracle or teaching, he lays out his legal case. Jesus of Nazareth is the legitimate heir to the throne of David. He is the one, the long-awaited king.
But honestly, it's even more brilliant than that. Because Matthew hasn't just handed us a legal document. No, he's given us a preview of the entire story he's about to tell. In a way, this list is the story, just in miniature. Just think it through. By putting in women with messy, complicated pasts, what's Matthew saying? He's showing us that this king's story is for everyone, not just the people who have it all together. He's showing that God works through unexpected, even scandalous people. By including Rahab and Ruth, who were foreigners, he's basically hanging a big sign that says, "Outsiders welcome in this king's kingdom." He's preparing us for a king who is not at all what people were expecting.
So, that long, boring list of names, turns out it's actually the overture to the whole opera. The introduction isn't some formality he had to get out of the way. No, it sets the stage for the entire drama. Matthew has already given us all the major themes of his book: grace for the broken, a place for the outcast, a totally surprising kind of king. And we haven't even gotten to chapter 2 yet. So I'll leave you with this. If this is the introduction, a story that purposely weaves together broken people, outsiders, and scandalous grace, and presents it all as a king's legal right to the throne, what does that tell us about the kind of king we're about to meet?